Hello and welcome, Grooveroonies. No, sorry, it's Smoothers on this channel. G'day, Groovers on Tasmania calling. G'day, Smoothers on this channel. A bit of an experiment. Being in Australia, time zones are tricky. So, according to my YouTube analytics, the bulk of my audience is wide awake when I am sound asleep, which is not ideal. Hey, Francesca. Deb, I'll time you out if you mention my knee. I've told you 4-month recovery. Ask me once a month. Leaking house, still don't know the outcome of that yet, but I've been buried in all the paperwork and I've got everything off to the building inspector. Now I'm just waiting on them to come out and do a prognosis and a diagnosis, or a diagnosis and a prognosis. And then I'll know more. But until then, life goes on, right? We don't stress about it till, well, even when I know what the issue is going to be or the time frame, whatever, still not going to stress about it because every problem has a solution and I've got insurance and it will get fixed. How's your, what is it? And your, what is it? Actually, I'll give you a wrench so nobody can time you out. Hey, Francesca, check this out. I'm just taking your wrench off you for a second. And then I've just changed it. What is a managing moderator? Can you like completely delete my channel? I don't know what it means. If you get a little notification, tell me what it said. Oh, hang on. I can start my camera up. Sorry, I've been very housey today. Can you tell? I have a very large shoulder. I was going to say shoulder. Raining up your way, Deb? Yeah, it's has been raining a lot. My tank is like full as a goog. So every time it starts raining again, I do another load of washing. I've nearly washed everything except for the rugs. They will be the next thing. The rugs are a pain when it starts to get cold, though. Like they take quite a few days to dry. So the next option is if the tank starts overflowing, I go under the house and I actually hose down the tank. I give it a good shower and clean it. Hey, Betty Damn Boop. Looking amazing. You're too kind. I am domestic kitty. I have been doing so much stuff because I know whatever's going on with my house, I'm 99% certain it's going to require a full bathroom refurb. So being a 1-bathroom house, I won't be able to live here. Neither will Sunnybum. So we'll be heading off somewhere. But it's been quite good in a way because I've had a lot of little jobs that have just been hanging around that I've been putting off, like, you know, just getting your paperwork all in order and filing everything away and chucking out old documents that you've still got for some reason that are 12 years old, that sort of stuff. So I've been doing a lot of purging. I've done, I don't know how many loads of washing. I had a really busy Easter with a house load full of people, which was great fun. So yeah, I'm kind of same, timeouts, block. How you doing, Betty Dan Boop? Now it is yeah, you don't get a different colored wrench or anything. It just says you are now the managing moderator. Maybe you can time out other mods. I wonder if you have that power. Like if I could be like, we have a rogue mod. I'm so glad you caught us live too, Betty Dan Boop. Although it's a bit of everything. We're going to do a little bit of something, and a bit of everything today. Because it's the sun is coming up in beautiful London. Anastasia Beaverhausen. Hello. Funnily enough, Anastasia Beaverhausen, a little chuckle I had the other day when I discovered FOD has returned to the YouTube world. And you went in there and she laughed at your name. And I think she said, who's Anastasia Beaverhausen? And I was like, I know who Anastasia Beaverhausen is. She's one of my gang. Well, we've been buddies since, 2018, I think. You can time out mods. Woohoo! So no one can time you out except for me. Yeah, what were you doing lingering in FOD's chat? I mean, I was curious too, but it had already been and gone. But that's partly why my thumbnail is YouTube is Bizarro World, because in the last 5 in August years on YouTube in the live sphere, used to do YouTube like everyone else, do it yourself, music videos, cat videos, that sort of stuff. But when I actually started getting involved in the live crowd and following creators and all that sort of stuff back in 2018, seen a lot happen in those nearly 5 years. And I've always been absolutely horrified and amazed at how forgiving the YouTube world can be. For example, Diane's channel and that St. Jude's fiasco, like she's back as far as I'm aware, or she was doing the thing, and everyone just kind of went, oh, well, she's not going to own it. We'll just move on. I mean, it still gets mentioned, of course. But I noticed in the little bit of FOD, to be fair, I couldn't really, I'm not that I'm a hyper creator, and I can be incredibly chill, but it was just so mellow. But clearly people have already let her know, without a doubt, that they are not happy at her returning. They have not forgotten the chaos that the FOD caused in the past. So isn't it interesting? You can fleece a children with cancer charity and all is forgiven but in a few minutes. But then other creators, no one forgets. Morgan M. Hello. You're not a rogue mod? You took your channel down and lost all your wrenches. Did you? I will at some point start adding mods, but not until this channel grows a little bit. But I thought I was curious to see what it's like at this time of the day. Because according to YouTube, this is a good time for many of my subscribers. Now, the best time for most of my subscribers, according to YouTube, is like 3 a.m. my time. Woohoo! But weirdly for a Wednesday and a Thursday, like 3 p.m.-ish is the time. One of the better times. Or like apparently 6 a.m. my time's a really good time. But yeah, right. G'day. Speaking of, I have found the infamous live where I was on AD's panel. And I thought that's one thing I thought I would do today is find out a good time, especially for UK subs, for me to show it to you guys. Now, I will preempt it. What's the weather like up your way, Emily? Emily's on the island too. Are you copping stuff? Many people do have short memories. Neither do I. It's crazy what we remember. Oh, gratuitous sunny shot. And for those of you new to my channel, there lies our mascot, Sunny Biscuit. She lives on that ottoman unless she needs to pee or eat or she wants me to chase her around the house. Oh, yeah, thank you, Francesca. See, being the managing moderator. So I will add more mods as the channel grows. You were being nosy. Oh, it being in faults. Hey, I'm not judging you for going there. It's just weird because I had her playing while I was cooking dinner, I think. Or maybe I was I cleaning the toilet? I don't know. She was on. I heard your name and had a wee chuckle to myself. Jamie, where have you been? Hello, gorgeous. You remember that live? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a good one. And I found it. I only took about an hour, but I was clever. I went, okay, I've got to work this out. When the hell was I? Because he does so many different lives and he's got so many different channels. And I was like, I can't remember anything about it. So clever me went, hang on a sec. I had to email Bubbles to get a link. Now, AD apparently, I mean, I didn't know. I knew of him and all crap stuff about him, but I didn't know that a panel guest was quite a rare thing and also an apology even rarer. And I was both. I got both. But when I do play it, I know that there's a lot of people, because we're all very excited to see what happens with the legal proceedings in the UK, where the Rucheks are suing Chair Detective, and we'll be following that story. And I know that a lot of people who have worked incredibly hard at showing the YouTube world what this man is capable of and what he's done have started to find me too, because I got very excited about the news about the lawsuit. And as most of you know, and anyone new watching this on a playback or joining tonight or today, wherever you may be, the real focus of my channel is how social media is impacting criminal trials. Essentially, that's the focus. I keep trying to think of a name that will sum that up for everyone. But because I had a podcast once upon a time called Smooth Criminal, that's the name of the channel. But my real focus is to look at creators and the damage they're causing, how they're interfering with the course of justice, how they may lead to innocent people ending up being completely traumatized for the rest of their lives purely because they knew a victim, looking at how guilty people may walk free because the trial gets tampered with and witnesses by these YouTube freak shows and sleuths. That's the area of law that I'm really interested in as a lawyer too. It's not an area I practice in, but for some reason lawyers are nerds, and when we're not at work, we are fascinated by other areas of law, it seems, and this is my area. I was a criminal defence barrister for a long time, and people like Bullhorn Betty would have been music to my ears when I was defending criminals, because I would have been able to discredit so many witnesses because Bullhorn Betty had got in the way. But when you're seeking justice and you're the family of a victim and you want the perpetrator to be sent to prison for the rest of their lives, the Bullhorn Betties are bad news. The reason you come here, I know, Morgan. Sunny is beautifully relaxed. She is the best. She's an absolute gem. Oh, you've got Sun. Nice. Lily Eve 420. Hello, Lily Eve 420. How you doing? Fod was on Queen's panel tonight. Oh, really? Is Fod doing the rounds? I apologize for my disheveled state. I'm getting a bit self-conscious. I wasn't actually planning on camming up. I will be camming up later with a bit of a face on and making a bit more of an effort for Batshit on the Batshit channel. I'll drop the link actually, because some of you may feel like joining us a bit later on for that too. We have a tiny little channel called Batshit, which is dedicated to our show, which is also called Batshit. A mere 55 subscribers, but we have many laughs there. So if you feel like subscribing, please do. We look at the most batshit stories from around the world in the last week, me and my co-host Finn. And we have very different views on a lot of things, but it usually proves to be quite entertaining. Sometimes we actually fight like siblings. I don't find it entertaining, but the crowd does. They cheer it on. Look at you. You're being such a good Managing moderator Francesca. So good to see you too, Jamie. Hi, Blank Slate. Yeah, I know Americans are heading to bed. This time frame is really more ideal for those waking up in the UK and Australians looking for something to do in the afternoon before they have to think about making dinner. Didn't know it was actually happening. I don't know what's actually happening. 56 now. Thank you, Betty Dan Boop. Actually, I turned 56 in January, so maybe that's when we should stop getting subscribers. Yeah, well, you are usually Replay Crew, unless we do the early morning one, which most Australians don't watch because they haven't even got out of bed yet. We tend to have a lot of Americans in the morning shows. It depends on Finn's roster. Thank you for subbing too. Yeah, the lawsuit. So the lawsuit is happening. Francesca and I were chatting about it earlier, actually, and I will be following it. It's not going to be televised, obviously, the way American trials. And wow, aren't there a lot of trials on at the moment, like high-profile ones? My timeline at the moment is just Valo, Souch, Valo, like it's so many channels covering both. Yes, the insomniacs of the US, of the untied states. I had a scammer a few weeks ago who had very bad spelling mistakes, and he said, the untied states of America. Tori, having never been in court, only watched a couple of trials on YouTube since Johnny. Is it normal for judges to ask the jurors if they have questions for the witness who's on the stand? No. No, never. Well, not in Australia. Tell me more, Emily. Oh, the pic on my community page. I still have people who don't believe I lived in the States as an exchange student. So every time a Facebook memory pops up of me doing something incredibly American with my host sister, like we didn't have those posed photos. Like the photographer came to Oak Park High School where I went to school in Kansas City, Missouri. Gladstone, in fact, was the suburb. And yeah, like photographers would come and they did your senior pics, but they also did like these other ones with wacky backdrops, including the Winter Wonderland on my community page. So every now and then I'm like, I'm just going to stick something else on my community page to prove. Because there's nothing like that in Australia. We don't do that, ever. Photographers coming to schools and setting up autumn leaf backdrops and old bridges over rivers, and it's not an Australian thing at all. And it was the first time I'd ever worn makeup, and I still look at it, remembering how when I saw the photos, I was like, it was like seeing a different face for the first time. And it was my head. I am trying to keep up. It's allowed here, but not in every state. I don't think to allow questions of witnesses. It's so weird. It was perfect, and you have these photos too. We'll have to do a live one day where everyone can email me. Oh, no, because you probably don't. Well, would you care? Would you care if I showed and used your YouTube name? Maybe some of you would. See, I don't care. But I grew up in the public eye, and also Australia has brilliant privacy laws for those who wish to remain private. Me, I'm screwed because of my entire life, basically. I was born in the public eye, and then I decided to go into a career in the public eye. Not this career, but when I did breakfast radio. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I don't care. And if anyone's going to make the massive trek to Tasmania to hunt me down and kill me, at least I'll be remembered in death. I'll be a true crime case that you guys can all go live on Kick and talk about. No, you wouldn't care. I'm watching the Gannon S trial, not mentioning the demon. Yeah, thank you. I was going to say Gannon before. I always use the victims' names too, usually. The Valo, though, there's quite a lot of victims. what a story. Originally, I thought about following it, but we've had a couple of murders in Australia in the last week that I really want to talk about, not just to let everyone know these two beautiful women's names who are both victims of family violence, but also to highlight Australia's shame, which is absolutely horrifying family and domestic violence statistics. Like, it's absolutely horrific. And the more it's discussed and studied and spoken about publicly, it still isn't changing anything. You know how, like, drink driving laws often, when they, like, when limit was 0.08 and they dropped it to 0.05, and they had this massive campaign about it to let everyone know, and the numbers of fatalities dropped really quickly. Like, you could see the change from that legislation. But family violence, so many people, including my brother, have been incredibly, incredibly passionate about advocating against it for years now. I mean, one of our Australians of the Year a few years ago was the mother of a beautiful little boy, Luke Batty, who was murdered by his father on a sports ground in front of her and other kids. Really, really horrible story. So yeah, I do want to talk about it, because not that I think I'm going to bring about change either, but I just feel like there's just still not enough people talking about it, but also just the importance of remembering their names. So there was a girl who was murdered in Tasmania a couple of weeks ago, literally a half an hour drive from here, in a little town called Campania, and her name is Jackie Purton. And then in Melbourne last week, and she was run down by her ex in a car. He actually ran her over as she was fleeing. Horrible. But in Melbourne last week, a woman called Hannah Pringle was stabbed to death by her 15-year-old son and one of his little friends, while his younger brother was in the house at the time. So I was going to do a live and talk about Jackie, and then Hannah was murdered, and I just feel it's something I really want to talk about on this channel too. So I'm not getting into these sort of highly publicized US trials at the moment. I mean, there are certain trials that I will be following. Idaho 4, the trial, and I mean, I'll look at what happens at the preliminary hearing, but I've gone very quiet on that. The Frankie recheck against Chair Detective is one I'm definitely going to be following. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that I want to do on this channel. And also, I think if it gives you guys a bit of insight into just the way the Australian system works, like, our justice system is not that very similar, almost identical to the US system. But when you throw in things like really strict privacy laws, and when you look at for some reason, this just revolting cultural acceptance by so many people still of domestic violence, and talking about that, like, it's just, I thought maybe giving you guys some insight into some other stories would be maybe of interest, and sometimes give you guys a break if you are heavily invested in a trial. And we do try to have fun here too, even though we cover some pretty heavy topics. Francesca's listening to Valo. Jamie just finished listening to the Valo case, and you've been doing Gannon's case during the day. Was it true that Laurie fell asleep in court? I mean, I don't blame her. It gets frigging boring in there, but you reckon that's going to look good for her with the jury? No. Yeah, we've got a horrible, horrible, shameful cultural problem, haven't we, Emily? It's so bad. Yeah, the Hannah Clark case was horrible. It warrants discussion. Very heartbreaking case. She did fall asleep. While they were discussing the discovery of her children's bodies. Oh my God. The West trial. Yeah, there's still so many that are going to play out in court. That's terrible. The other thing I heard, which was terrible, was Gannon's autopsy photo being accidentally shown publicly, I think yesterday. If you do stumble across any YouTube channels that took screenshots of that or are showing it, please unsubscribe from them. Like, what I heard was it was through no fault of the court, really, and the judge. It was just an error with the way they do that. What's it called? It was the one that Judy Ron was asking for subscribes, like and subscribes. WebEx? Yeah, but be very mindful if you do see creators that put that stuff out there, because that's just so horrifying. That little boy, his death was, I mean, it couldn't be more undignified than it already was. The judge moved the camera. She could be sedated, fellow, yeah. It was not an accident. The judge moved the camera. I'll try to mind my P's and Q's, Anastasia Beaverhausen. Yeah, WebEx. Thanks, Jamie. Yeah, I know. Oh, God. And this is why I'm not a fan of the televised trial. I've worked in courts my whole life. There's just stuff that I don't think the public need to be exposed to. Hey, wake the truck up, America. Sup, Groover? She's old enough. It's okay. All right, then I can say fuck and shit and I won't get into trouble. No, I do try not to these days. Murder convictions without a body, that's what it's called. Don't mean to sound insensitive. Interesting to me. I hope they get the West, poor little boys. Yeah, isn't it funny though, Morgan? Have you noticed how many YouTube creators and people in true crime forums constantly say no body, no crime? Does my head in. Like, I wish they would just Google how many people have been convicted of murder without the body ever being found. Like, which leads me to another subject matter. Francesca mentioned a TV show that was on 7 Plus last night. It had already screened on commercial TV in Australia, the Claremont murders, which I have covered on this channel. So this is like a dramatization of it. And Bradley Edwards, the guy who was convicted of murdering 3 women, as well as, hang on, was he convicted of any of the rape charges? She says with conviction. I was taking some notes last night. But in any event, one of his victims, a girl called Sarah Spears, her body still hasn't been found. They got him for, I think it was Jane Rimmer's murder. And I can't remember what happened with Kira Glennon. He was found guilty of Kira, and this wasn't in the show. It hasn't been in the show yet, because at this point the police are still tailing and following these other 3 innocent men that had nothing to do with it, and convinced that they were right, and ignoring evidence of a rape victim and witness evidence describing a Telstra. Telstra is one of our telcos, the main one in Australia. Van at the scene, and they ignored all of that. They knew better. But where was I with all of that? Yeah, so he was convicted of murdering Kira Glennon and Jane Rimmer, but not Sarah Spears, and she's the one whose body has never been found. But rewind all of that. There are plenty of people who have been convicted of murder without the body ever being found. What was I thinking of? I can't remember. I was looking at my notes. Oh yeah, that's right. The dressing gown with the dragon on it that he took off the clothes on and then walked into her house with it on. Yeah. Curse words. Oh no. Had there been real cameras in there, it would not have happened. Their setup would have been very different. They wouldn't have been able to move the camera to not show it. It's still a problem, isn't it, though? I mean, we, as criminal lawyers and prosecutors, you see, I mean, sometimes you actually see the crime scene, but you see a lot of photos that are incredibly graphic, and you learn how to look at them in an evidentiary sort of way and keep your emotions out of it. It's very bizarre because you kind of have to. It's the only way you can do the job. It doesn't mean it doesn't impact you and you're not flooded with memories of those photos for a long time to come after it. But when it's part of your job, you just get on with the job. And I mean, I've seen some pretty hideous stuff. I'd be horrified if that stuff ever had been broadcast out to the public. Horrified at how people might have handled some of that stuff. And it's very weird because you don't become immune to feeling empathy for the victims, but sometimes you'll get a case and you see the photos of the victim and it's almost like, thank God that's not as bad as it could have been because you've seen way worse. Like, it's really weird. You almost sort of get a sense of comfort that someone didn't suffer as much as another person. It's very strange. But that's just where your mind goes, to just focus in on the job at hand. But, yeah, any of those photos being broadcast accidentally, I would have been mortified. And the families would have too. I think of Gannon's parents knowing those photos got shown. That's just awful. Right, I get it. Creepy. Are you talking about the... I don't know what you're talking about, Jamie. But the other thing is, yeah, the AD live. I found it. So I was thinking of doing it. But I don't know whether to do it in, like, UK time. Are the bulk of the people who've been so vocal about AD, are they mainly in the UK? I know that there's a lot of Australians that have been very vocal about him. I mean, I've covered him on and off throughout my days on the YouTubes, primarily on my other channel, but I'm moving everything over, including I moved the small video over where he took us all into the bathroom. But I'm trying to work out when I can do it. Yeah. No, no, Jamie. I've got to make a note of that because that's unfortunately the sort of stuff I call out on this channel. It's so weird too, guys. I've been listening to podcasts when I fall asleep, true crime podcasts, and it's very rare now to be listening to one where there isn't discussion at some point in the podcast about how social media interfered with the investigation. And I'm going to start covering those stories too. Like, you guys know that I do my little Stop the Madness videos. And I think I could be making those videos for the rest of my life at this rate. Like, it's unbelievable. This particular one I listened to last night, it's a very interesting and sad story because it's a murder in Iceland and they have virtually no murders there ever. But yeah, social media weighed in on that and caused a lot of mischief and a lot of harm to the investigation. So it's so strange now that it's rare to hear a case where social media hasn't had a negative impact. I mean, there's occasionally ones where social media has had a positive impact, but they're so rare. Mostly, if a podcaster is talking about a crime and they mention social media, it is not good news. Did you actually see it happen? What wake the truck up? They were not in the courtroom for that reason. Oh, I'm so sorry you saw it wait the track up. This is what I'm saying, like, oh, Jamie. I mean, fortunately, in my career as a criminal lawyer, I didn't defend a child murderer. Fortunately, I dodged that bullet. I don't know how. I just did. In fact, I rarely had cases involving, well, I only had one case involving children. It was still bad, but it wasn't anything as bad as it could have been, like SA, that sort of stuff. But he, I don't know if I've talked about this case on my channel before or not. He was actually charged with possessing child porn because he had a fetish for watching people wee, but he filmed people using public toilets, like at the Grand Prix or at the Royal Adelaide Show. I was living in Adelaide at the time, and unfortunately, kids also used the toilets, so kids would appear in the footage. Anyway, in a nutshell, he was eventually acquitted on an appeal, and because it didn't fit the definition, so they actually rewrote the definition. So that's a case that I worked on that legislative change came about. But he was the only one, and he was pretty gross. Not going to lie. But yeah, fortunately, I didn't have any child murderer cases, so that would have really been horrific. But just seeing an autopsy photo of adults is full on enough without seeing a tiny little child's body. It's just awful, absolutely awful that happened. So wake the truck up, and Jamie, I hope you both give yourself a lot of mindful moments for the next week or so, just while you process what you saw. And we're here for you, and we'll make you laugh when we can. You've never understood the peeing fetish? Anyone in the chat understand the peeing fetish? Who wants to put their hand up? There's someone in there going, yeah, I get that. I'd do that. Yeah. So, I mean, we argued that he was charged with the wrong thing, and we won. And then the prosecutors appealed, and we won again. So then the legislation, the definition was changed, and it's all about continuous footage for X amount of, now I've lost the terminology. You had to have X amount of, not stills, but like is it stills? In succession and for an extended period of time for it to fit that definition. Hey, what about Science Girl playing porn while Laura was streaming her live? I'm sorry, I thought that was hilarious. I mean, those two are just so childish and as bad as each other, but seriously, what a great idea. I did find that funny. Good on you, Science Girl. Usually I don't find you funny at all. That was funny. We're here for you, though. Wait the track up. Let's try and make you laugh. Yeah, I know. So I think someone told her while she was live. I think someone told Science Girl while she was live that Laura was streaming her. So Science Girl put a porn on. It was hilarious. Which channel were you in? Anastasia, or did you bounce between the two like you were watching Wimbledon? What's brilliant. How long did Laura let it play for? Like, I want to know all the goss. I mean, I did a live about Laura the other day, but I got off the live and I thought I wasn't being like a cow about it. I didn't call her names. I reacted to what she was saying, and she was defending Molly, and it's like, you can't defend this. And you're looking like an idiot defending it. Everyone knows the truth of what happened. There's plenty of lives out there that have all the screenshots. Like, it's been covered. It doesn't matter if you're getting a bit of greenback under the table to defend her. It's making you look silly. But I wasn't a prick about it. And I think when I show the live with AD, a lot of people might be disappointed at how decent I am on his panel, because it wasn't an opportunity for me to go up there and slam him for what he's done to the Ruchek family. And I mean, had I done that, how long do you reckon I would have been on his panel for? I would have been gone. It was actually to clear the air about a friend of mine who had been doxxed by another channel, and then Alan and his crew had got wind of it and they ran with it, and they put all of her Facebook photos out there. And I mean, when I'm talking docs, I'm talking they even knew where she works, everything. And I went up there to say, you've got the wrong woman. It's not her. They believed she was in the courthouse in the sentencing hearing, and she wasn't. She was there the day he pled guilty, and that wasn't televised. So I went on it to clear the air. But to do that, I had to be reasonable. Despite my feelings about that man and all the crap that he's done, on this occasion, this was about actually clearing my friend's name. And there's a bit in it where I know that his chat were brutal with me, and the comments afterwards, oh my God, they shredded me. But at one point, I'm on the panel and I was reading his chat, and I said, oh, you can see a lot of your subs don't believe me. I don't care. And when you listen to something in hindsight, you're like, I wish I'd just added, I hope that one day, if you're being falsely accused of something and all your information, including photos of your grandchildren, are being put all over YouTube for everyone to see, I hope you have a friend like me who moves heaven and earth to get up on a panel to try and clear the air. So don't believe me if you don't want to. I just hope you've got good friends in your team, because one day you might need them, and I'm not going to be sitting in somebody's chat saying it's all too coincidental for my liking. I mean, I was braless. It was 6 a.m. I'd made a cup of tea. Hadn't even brushed my hair or my teeth, and boom, there I was up on Armchair Detectives panel, and I even cammed up like now. I'm Tori, and I have no fucks to give. Let me go back. The porn was a YouTube channel? Laura probably reminisced about her pole days. She is on the payroll. She'd have to be. Why would you keep defending Molly? It's making her look very silly. Trasher. Who's Trasher? Who's Trasher? That woman is the true definition of the devil, and the biggest dum-dum when it comes to cover. Wait, is Trasher Natasha Cooper? Who's Trasher? Oh, so Wake the Truck Up. Science Girl was doing a live bitching about Laura. So Laura streamed it, and then somebody told Science Girl while she was streaming it that while she was live, that Laura was streaming her live. So she played a porno. So all these moans and groans started blaring out of Laura's stream, presumably. Oh, Letitia is Trasher. Right. Yeah. Gotcha. But I think Laura has said any channel that's discussed her, she's going after them. I doubt she'd bother with me. But if she wants to, bring it on. I stand by what I said. You are looking like an idiot the longer you defend Molly. It's just pointless. And unfortunately, yeah, you kind of could have just kept doing your thing with your little gang who believe everything you say, and lived happily ever after. But I feel like maybe the attention she's getting, I mean, look, it's, what do they say? Even bad publicity is good publicity, right? She might be enjoying the attention as much as she protests she doesn't. But I know it's gold, isn't it? I mean, I listened to Science Girl way, 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 way back, like 2019. I think she had about 4,000 subs. And she was pretty brutal with people. And it might have even been Dana a little bit, who tried to mediate a session between Science Girl and Hello Starlight one day, I think. And I used to love tuning in. Like, I'd love getting a notification of something like that, and I'd be going, well, this is going to be a train wreck worth listening to. But I used to love heckling Science Girl. She used to say the dumbest things. And I'd be like, are you sure you're a scientist? Well, I didn't know she wasn't. I mean, we can all call ourselves whatever we want on this. I mean, I'm a smooth criminal, allegedly. She loves the attention. I reckon she does too. Yeah, Dana, that's another blast. Where is she? Is she still around? I love these little chats so we can all reminisce. Because the thing is, guys, there's all these oh, that was 2 years ago. She changed her channel name to Rise a little bit. Seven months ago. This life is temporary, be loving always, rest in paradise. That's the name of her last video. Oh, when Sarah Smile died. No, well, Serendipity died. I think, have they got the wrong person? Did Sarah Smile die? It was Serendipity who died. Wasn't Sarah Smiles the original name of Molly Golightly's mod, who then left Molly Golightly, and she loved the Cooters, and at one point she added Cooter somewhere into her name? I know the train wrecks of choo-choo. But there's so many channels now that are calling all this stuff out, with big panels, and I can't, whoever mentioned Queen Bee, Fodbang on Queen Bee, I can't handle that panel. There's too many people talking at once, but also there's someone who's frequently on that panel who I cannot stand, unfortunately. So, yeah, I mean, that's a real hit and miss panel for me to tune into. I'd rather listen to one of my true crime podcasts or one of the scam baiting channels instead of putting myself through that. And, God, how many YouTube creators after all these years on YouTube still haven't sorted out their microphone issues? Or, if you wear earrings and you've got those friggin' earbuds that they clang against them, and yeah, Serendipity is the one who passed, and Sarah Smiles was Molly's original mod, and she was brutal. I've never seen a mod on YouTube since who was as brutal as Sarah Smiles. She was the babyface killer. Oh, you saw Dana and Alicia the other day. But yeah, all these new channels that have been around for like 5 minutes. And they Farika Salty Salt, hello. Good to see you, Groover. Yeah, they don't. they don't have the full history, and they don't have someone on the panel who knows the full history, who can set the record straight. And there might be people in chat that are going, no, 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 no. Because I mean, I can't be bothered sitting at my computer engaging in chat on a Queen Bee panel, because I mean, nobody will listen anyway. But even like, I remember when the Glare first came into the YouTube world, I mean, he's telling everyone he's been on YouTube doing lives for 4 years. And if you scroll back to his first live, it was actually 3 years ago, whatever. But he didn't do his research, and he would go up on panels and be the authority on everything. And it used to do my head in. It's like, dude, just do your homework first. You know, you've got all these opinions and you're a panel whore, and he was the ultimate. I've never seen him and Fod are the two biggest panel whores that I have witnessed in my time on the YouTube world. Fod came into one of my lives one day when I was driving. I nearly ran off the road. I'm not a big channel. I mean, it was on my other channel too, which I cannot pull it out of the algorithm cul-de-sac no matter what I do on there. It's just continuing to go backwards. It'll be behind below monetization probably by the end of the year if I don't get it to turn around. I don't know what to do with it. I watch so many YouTube tutorials about getting back on the algorithm, and nothing has done a thing. Oh, that's exhausting. They don't know the history of the YouTube misery. Fod on Queen Bee's. I'm just surprised she returned and just was like, yeah, I had a busy year. You know, my mum got sick. I mean, it's sad that her mum died. It is sad. I mean, I lost my mum. It's sad, but I'm not going to, whatever. Then I got a full-time job, and now I'm back, and then people were giving her grief about it, and she's like, get over it. And it's like, well, this is where YouTube's weird, because everyone forgave Diane pretty quickly, and the people that were trying desperately to say to everyone, come on, guys, like, are we going to forgive this so easily? Were drowned out. But with Fod, people remember, and they've been giving her mountains of stuff, so history is spotty. They don't listen, and people have to learn on their own. John C was on late last night laying down. John Crimes was? Is he still around? That's a shock too. I'd forgotten all about him. The last time I was remotely entertained by anything John Crimes was when the rumor that was going around that he was 5'2". I lost it. I couldn't come to terms with it at all. And then I found out that he's actually 6 foot. Thank God, because I just couldn't. I couldn't do it. I couldn't picture it. So he's back, but he's going to have a very biased view of it, because he was often in the firing line and made people cry. And didn't he make God, Hello Starlight's getting a few mentions, a few shout outs. Didn't he make her cry? And that's a problem. Like, I mean, look, he has seen it. We all have, though. Like, and somebody like John Crimes is going to lay down the history. He's got to let other people come up on panel and go, well, that's how you saw it, John, but it was actually this. Or was he open to that? Or was it just his version of events? On Ace Candle. Is that the name of John Crimes' channel now? Ace Candle? What's with fucking candles? I'm going to have to get a drink of water in a minute, Groovers. But she's got a bias too, though. I don't want to hear anyone who's been in the bloody punch and rings version of events. I want to hear the spectator that's been there for every single match, and who can watch each match objectively. I mean, I've heard makeup mobster get stuff wrong. I mean, not that it's a test or an exam. They don't all have to get it right 100% of the time. But I'd be trying to find the person that sort of has been at every match, or even the person that rings a bell at halftime or whatever. I don't even understand boxing terminology. My dad was an amateur boxing referee. He actually refereed at the Commonwealth Games one year. But one of a million things my father did, he was ridiculous. He put so much time and energy into about 9 careers at one time. Most unusual man. But yeah, he made Hello Starlight cry. Ace Candle is really? Was it Ace? I only remember it being Intrepid, and then whatever it is now, Energy. But does everyone remember House of Akasha? That's the true question on today's show. He was just telling his side, yeah. He hasn't been on for months, and it's sort of like his little BS channel. Okay, gotcha. So I enjoy Crumb Nation. I watch the BS from the stats. Crumb Nation. Oh, is that Wendy V? Is she Crumb Nation? That's my job. Guys, I'm gonna have to get a bit of water. Bear with me. Oh, a scandal. Ace Candle. Gotcha. Squid Games of YouTube. Mel entertain the masses. You remember that shitty microwave candle company? House of Akasha. We were actually talking about it the other day. We actually mentioned Jay's for Justice's candle range too. That's when I was reacting to Laura, because she just gets so proprietary about everything. I mean, now she's like going, and now everyone's following us over to Kick. Well, Kick went live in March this year. You're not pioneers. Like she always, everyone's copied me. Like when Science Girl started making candles, that was my idea. Well, hello, Laura. Prior to you, we had House of Akasha flogging the microwave candles left, right, and centre. Jazz for Justice, obviously inspired by Oni, had her own range for about 38 seconds. Kanga Blue, hello. You remember Oni's, yes, House of Akasha. I've got to give him credit, though. Their branding was on point. Like, irrespective of the fact the candles were cooked in a microwave. Remember when they went live from the kitchen making candles one day? You could just hear that roaring, the microwaving noise in the background when they were designing the Molly Golightly Tiffany blue candle and trying to get the color just right. Yeah. Sarah Smiles made candles too. And then Television makes soap. How ironic is that? If anyone ever looked like they needed to be scrubbed for a week in soap, it's that little grub. All right, I'm getting a drink. You just talk amongst yourselves. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, I think. Hey, gratuitous. Oh, so I went to the kitchen, so Sunny thought dinner is actually in 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, we'll have a minor interval. Although I might wrap up after that because it's her dinner. I spent hours today de-pilling all of my jumpers, and I'm sure there's like pill just floating in my house. Right, let me go back. I want to catch up. I only did pull a Swifty. Yes, he did. And I think he probably still flits around the YouTubes, but nobody's worked out who or what he is. I feel like there's a lot of neutral people that could help spread the actual facts of what's happened here. We need a damn spreadsheet. We do. We do. And I mean, I'm rarely around or able to go onto a panel, and I don't think anyone's going to put me up on a panel because people don't really know. I mean, some people remember traces of nuts and stuff like that, but I'm not on that channel anymore. But I do remember a lot of it. And Jamie's got a mind like a steel trap, and so does my friend, or our friend Shanna. We were all mods for Jay, so we've been around from the start of this diabolical, bizarro world we frolic upon and in. But even when I've called, well, that's what I did. That's how I ended up on AD's panel, because I jumped up and said, I was in his chat saying, you're wrong. You've got the wrong person, mate. And then he was like, email Bubbles and grab a link. So I emailed Bubbles. I grabbed a link and up I went, braless and fluffy. It was early morning. I hadn't brushed my hair, my teeth. And there I was, cammed up on AD's panel, looking a treat, setting the record straight. But a lot of them don't. I don't think they want the record to be set straight. I mean, just the recounting of so many stories in the last week that I've heard that are wrong. It's like, that's not what they said. And I mean, I'm not here to clear people's names, to the nth degree, but it bugs me when there's a channel of new people that they've just heard something from someone in their camp and they've run with it. And they all, not all of them, but a lot of them make out that they're these true crime channels too. And once again, the one thing they seem to ignore are the facts. Bugs me, man. It bugs me. I mean, Laura has said plenty of shitty things throughout her time on YouTube, as have many other creators, MGL, Mallory, you name it. FOD. But then they get their own kind of, supporters. And I'm sorry, and the people that are calling them out get their supporters, or they're all in the same mind frame, whatever. And they all just go, yeah, that's fucked. And they run with it. It's Chinese whispers. That's what we used to call it. I guess that's probably not PC these days. I think Americans, you guys call it telephone. Growing up, we called it Chinese whispers. We need binders. The candle column would be long. Look, I don't even know what you've missed. Genga, I don't know. What was I going to talk about? The death vultures. Well, that's all unraveling. Notice a lot of channels are now saying vultures too. That was us. My channel is tiny. My little community is beautiful. We come up with ideas and someone's pinching them. Stop doing it. Have me on your panel. Don't pinch the cool shit off my channel and from my community. Don't credit us. Invite me up and say, hey, there's this random chick in Tasmania who's calling out all the bullshit too. Wake up, Mel, whatever. Organisation board taking up a whole wall to show the changing affiliations. Must be magnetic. I got Sunny back. Sunny's always been here. What do you mean? We are going to need a big board. We're going to need a bigger ship. Is that the Titanic quote? Tori, do you remember the first parody video I ever did of the shrink talking about what was going on YouTube? Still 100% accurate today. Oh, yeah. It's like a Well, I've, had the Groundhog Day references featured a lot. So has days of our YouTube lives. I've also done the YouTube Schitt's Creek. People know me. Not really. I don't think they do. You remember the Braless. Trauma bonding. I've got to catch up. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but it seems J.S. for Justice reappeared as true crime for the Idaho case. Or was I don't think she ever left. I don't know. I actually delight in not knowing anything about her. I know she's being sued. I was happy to learn that bit of info. You keep hollering, where are your receipts? Yeah. They don't bring the receipts. By the way, thank you all for introducing me to the train wreck grifter that is Bullhorn Betty. Stop stealing tourist content. We know who you are. No, Memel. No, that's no. I don't even know the story about my house yet. Long way off. No, that was when I found out my house was leaking. My instant thought was, we will have to move out. And when I chatted to you, I was talking about how I didn't really care about the pain of my knee anymore because I was more worried about the thought of Sunny going into a cattery. But no, I don't need. She won't be. She'll be going with me. I found heaps of Airbnbs that will have the both of us. But yeah, no, that I don't even have my insurance claim in yet. Long way off. Well, not a long way off. Hopefully, the sooner it gets fixed, the better. I'd like to be back in here and all cozy for the heart of the winter. Vulture culture needs to be trademarked too. Well, someone's already running with that now, so they didn't take Death Vulture. They just tweaked it a little bit. But I know who, funnily enough, there's a bit of irony in that one there too. Mind you, I actually quite like listening to her now. She has actually got more interesting. She's got interesting things to say now. She can get a word in on her own channel. It kind of seemed like she was gone and suddenly popped up again for the Idaho case. Maybe I just didn't notice her around for the last few. Oh, she's been around. She's been around. I was annoyed she seemed to have reappeared for a high-profile case like the Idaho 4, and many of her facts were off. A little prior research would have been nice. Yeah. Yeah. How many true crime channels are there that don't actually do their research? That's why I find it really strange when people choose to watch a stream of a trial they're interested in, but rather than just watch Law and Crime Network. And don't get me wrong, I had heaps of fun doing the Depp and Heard. Like, that was funny. But I find it really odd that people opt to go to a creator, because even the creators who know the case inside out still talk over what's going on in court, and that does my head in. When we did Depp and Heard, I was so mindful to not talk unless that approached the bench and there was nothing coming from the courtroom, and we were able, like Jen Lou was up on panel with me, we were able to have a bit of a chat, but I never talked over the top of court proceedings. And I also didn't stop and start it. I wanted everyone to watch it in real time as it was happening. Plus I got up at midnight to do those shows and went through to morning, and a couple of times then went on to do worked for the day. But I learned from Breakfast Radio how to do that. It's not great to do it, but if you're not doing it for weeks on end, it's okay. But I just put Law and Crime Network on. I don't need the narrative from the creator. I guess people might enjoy the chat, but I've never had a problem with the chat on Law and Crime either, like bouncing around in there. It's weird to me. Like, why would you? Because I get very annoyed very quickly if a creator explains something or talks over the top of what's been said in court. I just go, and it blows my mind that so many people flock to the channels that are streaming these cases. Like the channels that do the wrap-ups after the day in court, more than happy to listen to them. Let them sit and watch the thing all day and do the wrap-up. I'm all for that. But do you guys enjoy do you watch like the Law and Crime sort of stuff, or do you enjoy watching it via a creator? Because that really confuses me. there aren't many creators, in my opinion, even the ones that have studied the case inside and out and know the facts, who stream in a way that it's not annoying to listen to. I mean, let me know if there are any you can think of, but Sonny needs to go to rehab for misusing her payments. Yeah, we all did. Well, you, me, and Shanna in particular, but Jamie did the most. Jamie did the most. She is lazy, yes. Yes, she is. You watch Law and Crime, yeah? It depends on the case. I'm watching one now. She only talks during breaks. And who's that, Jamie? You can mention the channels because some people might like that person weighing in. So like a lot of people love Emily D. Baker, and I'm interested in her as a human being and her career. Didn't really like her TED Talk. She didn't need to tell everyone she was a lawyer 83,000 times. We kind of got that message, the 47,000th time. That kind of bugged me. But she's way too shouty and in your face for me. Like even her camera is there. She's got interesting shit to say. I'm not taking anything away from her at all. She knows what she's talking about. But yeah, too loud. I just watched season 4 of Alone, and the brothers who won that season, I just couldn't get into them because they shouted so much. They were so loud. And every time they shouted, Sonny would freak out, and it was really difficult to watch that season because of the shouting. Why am I not surprised? Since she's lacking factual accuracy, I take it you left that gig in the dust, Jamie. We all abandoned Jen Lu. Where is Jen Lu? She'd be asleep. She's one that does like a wrap up of the day in court. Loves me some Jen Lu. Sleuth Mom. Okay. Why start a YouTube channel to get others to do the work for you? Ask Jay. Yeah, and Jen and Alex do stuff together too. Well, I don't think that's fickle or blank slate. I like smaller chats too. She gets me into all these cases I want nothing to do with. Who's that, Mel? Who gets you into all the cases? I'm just thinking, what else did I put in my head at? We've covered the Claremont murders. That show is so good. I don't know when it's on. Oh, Genders. I don't know when the next Claremont murders episode is, but Reggie Princess, another case that I've been following on my channel. Just a little update, guys. Last year, this is the cruise ship that basically brought COVID into Australia. But last year in the court in Sydney, it was kind of deemed that the outbreak of COVID was very likely to happen and it wasn't an accident. And there's a class action that's still going. I've covered this on this channel. The Wreck of the Ruby Princess. I still think that's such a good name I came up with. But there was an update last month about the class action, and it's still being heard as far as I know. This is where not getting much info about cases in Australia sucks. But they booted all of the international cruise ship passengers out of the class action, and they are meant to be arguing the substance of the case at a later date, and that's all I have, but it's still an update. And there was really not much else I could tell you about that. So it's sort of like the last-ditch effort for the passengers to be compensated, especially the ones who lost family members on that cruise. There is another Claremont show, Mel. It's on Channel 7. Francesca mentioned it to me yesterday, and she said, "Oh, it started last night." So whatever night that was. What day is it today? Is it Wednesday? So say it started Monday night, and then she said it's on 7+. And then I said, "What time is it on?" And then went on thirds. It's on demand, watch it whenever the hell you want. And then I watched it and Francesca didn't, and it's really good. It's really good. The thing that's really good about it is how well they're showing how messed up the investigation was. And and frustratingly so messed up. They've absolutely taken no prisoners when it comes to exposing how badly the cops handled it from the very start. I'm the same with you, a blank slate. And sometimes I just read, like, there's plenty of people that do tweets and blogs and, that have sort of observed the proceedings as well. Like, a lot of the evidence at the end of the day isn't that critical, really. Like, it kind of paints pictures for the juries, but it's getting those little pearls that are really important. And plenty of people report on them too. I won't mention the name, but there's one overt Christian true crime creator who has no shame constantly grifting for donations to support his channel. I want to smack him. Is that bad? No, I want to smack him too. An overt Christian true crime creator who's a grifter. King Kanga, can we get an initial? Oh, same family member that wrote the book on Snowtown also wrote one on the Claremont murders. Can I buy a vowel? I want to know too. Emily, the ones I mentioned show the whole thing. If they don't, then one of their friends are showing it. I don't know what that's about, but that's all right. Aloha, Humanimal. No. It's new. It's a TV show. Like, it's not a documentary. The one that was a few months ago, I saw that one too. No, this is new. It's Kate Ritchie's in it. Like, there's actors in it. And the girl that has the affair with Chook in Muriel's Wedding is in it too. Was it Pippa? What was her name? The one who was shagging Chook in Muriel's Wedding. She's in it. She's whose mum is she? Kate Ritchie is Sarah Spears' mum. And the chick who rooted Chook in Muriel's Wedding, I don't think it's Kira's mum. I'm trying to think. I think it's Jane Rimmer's mum. It's really good. I'm glad you told me about it because it is really good. There may or may not be a T and an F involved. Ring any bells? Truth or fiction? True Fanny. True fun guy. True fanatic. Truthful fuckwit. I don't know. Did I get it? Yeah, no, imagine that, a poorly run police investigation. It was so badly, it was so bad. So bad. I'm really glad they've done it though, because it shows, Lance Williams in particular, who was falsely suspected by the cops, ignoring all the evidence. They had such strong evidence pointing at Bradley Edwards, and they just honed in on Lance Williams and were determined to prove he was the one who did it. And I'm really grateful for this show and for people who watch it, because they can just see how significantly he was hounded by the cops while they were ignoring actual reliable good evidence. Like, some kids gave a really good description of the car that Kira Glennon got into, and the cops were like, and how many beers did you had that night? And the guy was like, not that many, like 7 or 8 across the night. And they just wrote that evidence off, didn't care. They positively identified a feature on the van, and then someone else saw the Telstra van and they ignored that. And then there was another victim of his, a rape victim, and she was certain it was him that was doing it, and they just wrote her off as well because their egos took over and they just wanted to prove it was Lance Williams who did it. So I'm so glad that he's getting to clear, like that people can finally see how much he was hounded by them and the horrible things they put his family through, and it's really good in that regard. And it's really good at exposing just the attitude of the cops, like even how they reduced the team of people investigating it massively, like down to 3 people before the cases had gone cold. Like it was just so badly handled. So thoroughly recommend it. When I'm watching YouTube, a lot of the time I'm not watching the chat, so I just have Law and Crime while doing housework. Yeah, I like putting them on too. I really like their coverage. You want to smack him so hard. Are you guys you've all worked out. Kanga, we need a name. Oh, Tyler Feller. That's right. True fuckwit. They did, Melma. It was such a bores up. Monumental. Fuckwit is right. I've got to catch up to the chat. No, I know. We don't have Dateline Australia, but do you know who else watches 60 Minutes Australia on occasion? Mary Marlowe. One of my biggest regrets. I should have been more playful. I think because of all the J stuff, my entree into the YouTube world got quite heavy very quickly, and that playful opportunities I normally grab in my life didn't happen on YouTube. But when I heard Mary Marlowe raving about Australia's 60 Minutes and saying how good it was, one of my mates is one of the presenters. Well, he's retired now, but he was one of the presenters. And I really wanted to get him saying, "Hello, Mary Marlowe. Hello, world." What did you used to say? "I'm Mary Marlowe." I wanted him to do a personalised greeting for her. I could see Mary had things going on, lots of things going on. But my God, at times she was funny. When she went on dates with people and the description of the people she dated, and she took a date, she took her daughter on one of the dates. He owned a food truck. She quite liked him, but he had terrible teeth and he was very short. I'll never forget that. She was pretty funny at times. But yeah, I regret not getting Charlie to do a "Hello, Mary Marlowe. This is Charles Woolley from 60 Minutes Australia." He was happy to do it. I just didn't film him doing it. God damn it. Because she would have liked it, you know. I don't watch that guy. I checked him out many years ago, 3 years ago maybe. And I just went, I can't do the praise bees, mate. Uh-oh. Tornadoes arrived at Mel's house. The boys are here. Oh, no, Mary Marlowe. This is the thing. Like, there's so many of us still on YouTube that have been around for all of this stuff, the historical stuff, the hysterical stuff. And it's not like I'm losing sleep and I'm like, I just want to get on a panel and tell them all the truth. It just frustrates me that nobody else is doing that. Or if they're calling it out in the chat, no one wants to acknowledge it. It's like, if I'd stuck with my channel name the whole time, I probably would have a bit more credibility, but I changed it so many times. And now I'm not even on that channel. I mean, it's still there. I do things on it occasionally, but yeah, it's frustrating. Because all this new generation, they find a channel and they go, "Oh my God, that stuff happened." And I'm like, no, it didn't. And like, there's enough bullshit and horrible stuff that's happened on YouTube talking about it factually and sticking to the facts. There's mountains of stuff. So getting it wrong, it doesn't have to happen. Like, just tell it like it happened. Mary Mel, you're hearing things? The boy tornado hasn't arrived. Ooh, the veil slips and he shames subs. You used to think she was off her trolley. Well, she kind of was, but the dating stuff was funny, even from an off the trolley perspective. There were a few cows loose in the top paddock, yes. And we've seen that too, haven't we? The egos on YouTube. Whoa, the rise and rise of egos. Why aren't people keeping them grounded? I guess a lot of them didn't have real life friends who are noticing their change in them and they don't see their YouTube persona. But man, how many channels that have exploded have we seen just, boom? I mean, Molly Golightly is obviously the latest example of that, but it's happened to many before her and it will happen to many after. I thought it was funny when Hitman Laura teamed up, seeing as how she's an atheist, She teamed up with Tyler Feller. He let her into his parish. We could panel for days about all of them. We sure could. And it's, but that's been a frustration for so many years. Just that, and when there's people in the chat that actually know the truth about what the panel's talking about, and they're like, guys, let me up. Don't want to debate you guys, just want to, set the record straight, and they're just like, they don't acknowledge chat, or if they do, they don't acknowledge those comments. There's not many creators that are open to being corrected. And the problem is they've got these panels of people with their own little channels, and then they all go off to their channels and they have panels, and they're bringing in all these different subscribers and people that are all hearing this version of events. It's so far from the truth. Do you guys remember? You may not, but the Glare in his early days went up on a panel with Mandy Bell and argued, because Mandy was going off about Jay and Oni for the shit they did to her. And he went up on panel because at the time he'd just left Critical K. So he was right up Jay's clacker. In fact, Critical K, for all of her faults, one of the best lines I've ever heard from her mouth was when she and Glera had a falling out, and then he was sucking up to Jay, and Kay said, "What's the weather like up in Jay's vagina, Will?" I'll give her that. But so Mandy's doing one of her chain smoking, drinking in the garage rants, and the Glare, for some reason, thinks he's going to play mediator and gets up and is chatting to Mandy, and he's got it all wrong. And Mandy's already a bit unhinged and losing her shit, and he's telling her stuff that's not accurate, which is just firing her up even more. And it's things like that in the days gone by that I've watched, and I was like, go, Mandy, go. But he still wouldn't take on board what she was saying, and it was her story. It was her real life experience with Jay and Oni, and he was adamant that he knew the version of events, and I was like, you're a cockhead, mate. Like, it's one thing to get the facts of a case wrong and someone else go, actually, that's not right. This is what happened. You're like, you sure? Bring receipts. Okay, yeah, you're right. But it's another for someone to tell someone who's telling their own story they're getting the facts wrong. This has been going on YouTube for so long. But how do we fix it? Because there's no point me putting together a channel of like-minded people and we're all like, they're going, these are the facts as we know them, because we're just doing exactly what I'm talking about, which is these panels just putting everyone up there who's all heard on the grapevine, and they've all heard the same version, and they're all like, yeah, I heard that too, me too. And the whole thing is not what happened at all. We can't have an echo chamber. We've got to like bring back people, whatever they're talking about, people who are very active in those communities from different communities altogether, to just talk about what actually happened. Because I think most of them would agree on what happened if they've got integrity and a good memory. Because it's just, there's this whole new generation of sleuths who are batshit insane and so potentially damaging to the cause of justice, and they bug me enough. But then on top of that, you've got this whole generation that are learning the history of YouTube, and it's wrong. And even John Crime's trying to teach everyone the history. Okay. He used to, remember when he used to, I mean, I don't like the expression hate watching, but I used to put Diane and Wendy on only because people would often get up on their panel and challenge the fuck out of them. But he got up there a few times. I think that's where he made Hello Starlight cry, actually. But, you know, he's too embedded in the drama. Like, I don't think his record. Well, God, who knows? I'm still back at the Mary Marlowe comments. Hang on. There are Melmo, but they don't. It falls on deaf ears. It's not like they drop a link and go, "Hey, you were around. Can you fill us in on what actually happened?" Sonny, my God, your dinner is 20 minutes late. I do have to go shortly and prepare for we'll eat dinner and do my physio exercises and then get ready for batshit. But this little one's dinner. Sonny, am I late for your dinner? Yes, you are, you bitch. Let me get your dinner, Moog. She's so spoiled. I can either buddied up during Kylie. Who buddied up? Oh, Laura and Tyler? Was a panel hoe who made some... Who was a panel? Right now I've lost it. I thought there was YouTube weirdos and drama a few years back, but the goings on these days make the old days look tame. I know. Who'd have thunk it? That's what Shanna and I talk about all the time. We're like, hey, remember when all that Mandy Bell and Jay stuff was going on and we thought that was the worst thing that could have ever happened? I mean, it wasn't great. We were all doxed to buggery. Nothing like putting messenger chat out there with everyone's full names and photos of their kids and stuff. It was a great time. I'd wake up every day to a new uploaded video from Mandy Bell just going, oh, great, this is getting worse. It was actually, to be honest, it was actually really bad. It was really bad. I haven't seen moderators of a channel being doxxed like that since. So I'm not downplaying it. That was fucked up. But there were other things that have happened, yeah, for sure. That we were like, if this is like the Christmas wish list. Remember back when we thought that was the worst thing that could happen? And that's what I was talking about, Melmo, earlier on before you cruised in. I was saying that, yeah, things are forgotten very quickly, but then the return of FOD, and she was copying it from every direction. So, you know, a year off YouTube and she comes back onto YouTube and everyone's just like, we hate you. Misery's the same. He cops the same thing. And Vin Vader or whatever his name is, who, you know, tried to bring him down years ago, keeps replaying stuff from a decade ago. And it's like, dude, just let it go. Let it go. Like, let the guy show if he's redeemed himself. I mean, a lot of the stuff that was put out there about him was very twisted as well. But even so, it's kind of like, you know, people going to be bashed for their sins forever. But Diane's channel rose like a phoenix from the ashes and no one gave a fuck. Now, Mandy is she was a girl with receipts. Oh, she had a memory like a steel trap. She did. She rarely got the facts wrong, that girl. She knew it. She knew all the stuff. Too many treat true crime like it's a TV show and not real people. Yes, I agree with that too. So cold and inhuman. Then there are the grifters making dollars off the suffering of others. Mad. And that's exactly the focus of my channel. Calling those people out. Yep, so true, Mel. Integrity, yeah, sure. I'm no genius, but the last few years have shown me there are many, many more stupid people out there than I ever realised. It shocks me every single day how dumb and gullible. I know, and how many of them. The number of people too. It's insane. It's insane. Hundreds and thousands of people pouring into all of these channels to watch absolutely horrific things. It just is mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. And people keep saying, oh, now Molly's gone. Who are all the clip channels going to talk about? In fact, Mel and I had this chat the other night. I said, there's fucking hundreds of people. There's so many of the people in the chats of the Bullhorn Betty type channels, for example, Law or whatever, have actually got their own little channels as well. I mean, even outside of this kind of clusterfuck we all found each other in, there's gazillion. Like, no one's ever going to run out of people to call out on YouTube. It's spreading like a plague, I tells you. A good memory and someone with all the clips would do. I know what Sonny has. Well, she's got the dinner time blues. He spoke this. Well, that was my point, though. He didn't. He got everything incredibly. He was telling Mandy that she was getting the facts of her own story wrong, and we were all there. Like, I knew the facts. I knew what she was saying was correct. And he was so cocky that he thought he could tell someone else the true version of events about their life story. It was really weird. And he gets a lot of stuff wrong still. I mean, I still find him entertaining when I'm cleaning the toilet because I clean my bathroom in record time if I put him on. Oh, have fun with the boys. It was horrific, and it was. And actually, I can't think of a channel yet that has put out all of the private conversations with the mods and from Messenger with everyone's real names and stuff. I don't think that's happened to anyone else. I mean, this isn't like the worst thing happened to us, wars or Olympics, but I mean, that was bad. It was really bad. But how bonded are we because of it? Mind you, we would have been bonded without going through that stuff. That stuff was horrible. Doxing, even worse than calling that. Well, I don't know. I think calling the SWAT team during a live stream is worse. I mean, they're innocent people that have lost their lives because SWAT teams were sent to the wrong house. That's not good. Yeah, I like Grizzly too. Some of the time. I have to bounce around a bit. I need all of them. I can't just hone in on one person. Fun testing the shark water. She's going to lose a foot. He does stick it to BHB, but then I was saying to someone today, I find it odd that he does cover cases too, but it's interesting because I'm not saying men can't talk about it, but don't you find it weird that there are men that do that and have a huge following? I mean, everyone, I guess, likes a bitch, right? But I don't know, maybe because it's a dude, it makes him more entertaining or whatever. But I kind of feel like he's worked out. It's a great way to get. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I know that everyone has a lot of fun taking the piss out of Bullhorn Betty, and they all roll into his channel and have a good old time. But I'd prefer Burnt Toast for that stuff. I find her way less ego and way less about her and more about what's going on, and she's got all the facts. I think a lot of his show is about him and his ego. Just saying, because something about it makes me fire up when I'm cleaning the toilet. I'm done in no time. And 43, holy shit. We're trauma bonded. The only thing Jodie was bring us together. She had a great core group. If she's still around us, she still have Shell modding for her. Shell, who came in after I'd left, after I got removed from the mod squad. And Shell used to follow me all over the place and just be like, oh, I hate you, and just the most horrible things to me. I'm like, I don't even know you, Shell. You know, the lady with the mullet. She's still around. All these blasts from the past. I'm a bouncer too, Tori. You bounce around too, yep. You like everyone until I don't, meaning I give creators a chance. And if they aren't for me, I move on. Yeah, I still drop back in on some of them. I'd be called a hate watcher by Laura. No, it's a community I frolic in. Sometimes you go into a pub and you don't necessarily like the band, and the pub next door has a band you've seen before. And even though they're not your favorite band, they're familiar. So you go there instead. It's not hate listening, it's just choosing to tune into the lesser of two evils for a while. And I want to know what's going on in this community. I care about it. I can't be calling out people interfering with criminal cases using social media platforms to do it without bouncing around and checking this shit out. It's not hate watching, it's investigating and researching. I'm prepared. I'm researching for my show, you fools. Shallot. Mullet. I microdose. Yeah, I'm a bit of a microdoser. That's why I like the clip channels. If you need a good laugh, check out Snarky Bish. Okay. Snarky Bish. Making a note of that. I'm going to go, Grooves. I'm going to feed Sunny Bun. Maybe I should do a series like a walk down memory lane and just put the call out for people to come and say, how do you remember this event? Let's react to this. Because, I can't watch like Queen Bee, for example, because I can't handle channels that have huge panels like that and they're all talking over the top of each other. It really does my head in. But also I've heard them repeating stories and they haven't been accurate, and no one opens up on the panel that knows the truth, who's saying that's not actually what happened. And I really wish that they did have someone like that on the panel. And also there is a person on that panel who all I've ever seen of her has been her being mouthy and vile and crude and bouncing from one team to the other until she finds a little place to settle and she's kind of left alone, and then things flare up again and on she goes again. And I can't handle her voice. It does my head in. So, but yeah, if people are calling that stuff out, keep doing it, or at least just correcting it in chat. I had someone the other day, it wasn't anyone, I can't even think of who it was, but it wasn't anything even that important, but well, it was important enough to point out they got it wrong. And I said it in the nicest possible way. I wasn't being a bitch. I just said, that's actually not quite what happened. It was this. Bleh. And the comment I got back in response was, I'll look at you promoting your podcast in the chat. Well, I wasn't, Karen. I'm just here to state the facts, but never mind. I'll just get back in my box and shut up. This is all too big for us to correct things. I just wish some channels that are growing exponentially calling out bullshit on YouTube, and I'm all for that. Call it out, but get someone on your panel who knows what happened, so at least they can nip some of this shit in the bud. Because like I said, there's enough horrible shit that we've all seen together on YouTube already. It doesn't need embellishing to make it interesting to listen to. It's already shocking. Just play someone's video, play a clip channel's video from 4 years ago with the actual recording of it. You can all listen to it and respond to it. I beg of you. You have a great night. Sweet dreams, Jamie. I walked away from GH. Oh, great. I pop into Lurk when he covers Delphi or Idaho. He's toned down the snark since he was trying to get out the sub numbers. I can't listen to him because I can't handle the auctioneer race call thing that he does and the sort of digital music that he does. That makes my head go boom. I can't handle the Laura's super chat music. Ooh. Queen Bee does that too. Gray does it. I think even back in the day, Mommy Rambler, is she still around? Does the Rambler still ramble? But yeah, all those channels that have the music, just, stop it. See it, batshit, Francesca. It was a nice little hangout. So we always do. We sit around the table and we have a good natter. Dems be facts, Tori, and we can't be doing those. Yeah, all that extra noise. And that's why I can't even handle like Emily D. Baker, because she's just way too shouty. I just want someone. And that's kind of like why I like Grizzly, Gisela, because although as soon as I hear anyone South African, I stand to attention and think I'm in trouble. I have a few South African friends and they scare the fuck out of me. I love them to bits, but I will never, ever dip my toes in seeing what life is like if you get them offside. Never, ever. I will not go there. But she's very well researched too. Very well researched. But she can also do that. Like, I'd love to do a Grizzly type channel. I'd love to have my dedicated, because I'm going to be turning the end room into my YouTube room down the track, so that you're not all sitting in the living room with me, and it's going to be all looking schmicko and more professional. But I just don't have the time. I mean, she can even go back. She's got the time to go back through her lives and timestamp when she's discussing particular. Who's got time for that? MRB is still around. So, yeah, I do like Grizzly for a laid-back kind of approach. And I've learned of a lot of cases I've never heard of before because of her too. I like that she will cover whatever touches her and moves her to discuss it, and doesn't just do the big ticket ones. Although lately she has been very big ticket item, and I'm just very organised. Yep, she's focused and clever. Yep. She may have a team. I don't know. I know she gets sent a heap of stuff. Did you guys see the community post of hers with the picture of Ganon and Sonic the Hedgehog and all blue? And, you know, she's got a lot of really dedicated subscribers who do a lot of stuff for her, for sure. But I think she spends a lot of time prepping and writing and that sort of stuff. And she's very good at controlling a huge audience as well. But you've got to basically be able to do that as a full-time job. And she has the luxury of a husband who has an income, and she's been able to put that time into building a channel and a brand, and she's done it very well. At the moment in my life, I'm juggling 83,000 balls in the air, and I used to be juggling 70,000, and another 10,000 got added in the last week. So anytime I get to do this, I grab it, and I grab it the opportunity, and I've got an ever-growing list of things I'd love to cover on this channel and things I'd love to do. I just have to work out how I can put good content onto this channel while still working my butt off in a very draining role, and then also have the time for being with my friends and family, and then have time for mindfulness as well. Like, it's my project. But now with a dicky knee and a leaking house in the mix, I don't know. I think it'll be a case of just grabbing the opportunities as they arrive. But I'm going to go and feed. She is the total opposite of Jay. She is. Back in the day, I could have gone down the Grizzly road, I reckon. I just won't ever have the time to do it. Unless I marry a millionaire who's 93 and has a terribly bad cough. And I don't have to work for a year and I can just build a channel. Maybe. But who wants to listen to a 60-year-old crapping on, you know? Anyway, on that note, I'm not 60 yet, but you know what I'm saying. People are tuning into the young, gorgeous folk. Might see some of you at Batshit later on tonight. Let me get the link up again. It'll be 8:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Finn and I having a look at the most batshit stories from around the world this week. Whoops. Pretty sure everyone who's in chat now is either subscribed or will be asleep when we go live. But boom. Yeah, I know the no drama. And see, would I be labelled drama because I've had a bit of a laugh about some previous creators? Hopefully not. I'm just an observer. And I've observed a lot. So I might see some of you at Batshit tonight, 8:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. Otherwise, keep an eye out for my family violence stuff. It's not going to be an opportunity for merriment. I'm even leaning towards doing videos rather than lives, so I can just tell their stories and get their names out there so they're not forgotten. But I'm not sure when I'm back on again after Batshit. You'll just have to keep an eye out for notifications. But until next time, everyone, don't get struck by a smooth criminal.
DJ Глобаша. He can see she was a neighbor.